Ladies and gentlemen, perception shapes everything. It is the lens through which we interpret the world, and yet most people go through life unaware of how much control they have over it. They believe their emotions are dictated by external events, that happiness, sadness, anger or frustration arise naturally based on what happens to them. But the truth is that emotions are not direct responses to reality. They are reactions shaped by how we interpret reality. Understanding this is the foundation of emotional freedom. Imagine two people stuck in traffic. One is honking, shouting, and cursing their bad luck. They see the situation as an injustice, a personal attack by fate. The other sits calmly, listening to music, unbothered by the delay. The traffic is the same, but the experience is entirely different. Why? Because one person resists reality, while the other accepts it for what it is. The difference lies in perception. It is not the traffic that causes frustration. It is the expectation that traffic should not exist, that the world should bend to personal convenience. Perception is the filter through which we process life's events. If that filter is flawed, everything appears distorted. When something negative happens, many immediately assume the worst. They take an offhand comment as an insult, a delay as a failure, a rejection as proof of their unworthiness. But what if they chose a different perspective? What if they assumed good intentions instead of malice? What if they saw obstacles not as punishments, but as opportunities to grow stronger? The world itself does not change, but their experience of it does. Training the mind to control perception is an act of discipline. It requires stepping back from raw emotion and questioning the initial reaction. When faced with adversity, ask, what is this situation really? What am I adding to it with my assumptions? Often, frustration and pain come not from the event itself, but from the meaning we attach to it. A harsh criticism at work might feel like an attack, but it could also be an opportunity to improve. A betrayal by a friend might feel like a personal failure, but it might simply reveal their true nature. The mind assigns meaning, and that meaning dictates emotional response. Emotional resilience comes from mastering this process. It is about understanding that no event inherently possesses emotional weight. A storm does not care whether it ruins a wedding or waters a farmer's crops. It simply exists. The same is true for life's difficulties. They happen. It is the human mind that turns them into suffering or strength. This does not mean suppressing emotions. It means acknowledging them without being controlled by them. Instead of saying, "This is unfair and I am helpless," say, "This is difficult, but I will decide how I respond." That shift in perspective can change everything. Consider the common fear of failure. Many avoid risk because they perceive failure as something shameful, something to fear. But failure itself is neutral. It is a lesson, a teacher. The only reason it feels painful is because society conditions people to equate failure with personal worth. But a simple shift in perception reveals the truth. Failure is growth. Every mistake holds a lesson. Every setback is an opportunity. Those who understand this embrace challenges instead of fearing them. They do not dwell on what went wrong. They extract value from it and move forward. Even in moments of deep suffering, perception is key. A person who loses their job might spiral into despair, seeing it as a catastrophe. Another might take it as a chance to explore new paths, to build something better. The job loss is the same, the experience of it is not. A person who experiences heartbreak might fall into self-pity, believing they are unworthy of love. Another might recognize that relationships teach valuable lessons and that they are now wiser and stronger. Pain exists, but suffering is optional. It is dictated by the mind's interpretation. A powerful way to train perception is through conscious detachment. This does not mean indifference, but rather observing emotions without being consumed by them. Imagine watching thoughts and feelings like clouds passing in the sky. They appear, they drift, and they fade. If a situation triggers anger, recognize it. I feel anger rising. Why? Is it justified? Is it useful? This small moment of awareness can prevent rash decisions, unnecessary conflict, and emotional distress. It allows a person to choose their response instead of reacting blindly. Perception is also deeply linked to gratitude. Many people focus on what they lack, on what has gone wrong, on what could be better. They perceive life through a lens of scarcity and dissatisfaction. But those who train themselves to see abundance, to notice the small victories, the moments of beauty, the opportunities hidden in setbacks, live with a sense of fulfillment. The world has not given them more, they have simply chosen to see more. They understand that life is neither inherently good nor bad, it is what they make of it. In every moment there is a choice. Perception can be a source of suffering, or it can be the key to freedom. It is not the world that determines happiness, but the way the mind interprets it. By mastering perception, one masters the art of living. Life is filled with uncertainty, challenges, and events beyond our control. Yet many people spend their days worrying about things they cannot change, allowing their peace of mind to be dictated by forces outside their influence. They agonize over the past, obsess over the future, and allow the opinions of others to shape their sense of self. But the truth is simple. Control what you can and let go of the rest. It is not an easy lesson to learn, but it is one of the most liberating realizations a person can have. At the heart of this principle is the understanding that there are two categories of things in life, those we can influence and those we cannot. The key to emotional freedom is knowing the difference. No amount of effort, worry, or frustration will change the weather, reverse a bad decision from years ago, or control how another person behaves. And yet, people waste tremendous energy fighting against what is beyond their reach. They let external events dictate their emotions, giving away their power to forces they were never meant to control. Instead of focusing on their own thoughts, actions, and responses, the things within their grasp, they exhaust themselves in a futile battle against the inevitable. Imagine a person who constantly worries about how others perceive them. They stress over every word they say, every action they take, fearful of judgment. But the truth is, no matter how carefully they navigate life, they will never control other people's thoughts. Some will misunderstand them, some will dislike them for no reason, and some will judge unfairly. Trying to control this is like trying to hold back the tide with bare hands. It cannot be done. The only thing within reach is how they choose to respond. They can live authentically, with integrity, and let go of the need for approval. In doing so, they free themselves from a prison of anxiety and self-doubt. The same applies to external circumstances. A person may work hard, do everything right, and still face unexpected misfortune. An economic downturn might take their job, an accident might change their plans, or illness might disrupt their life. They can rage against it, complain about the unfairness, or sink into despair. But none of that changes the reality of the situation. What they can control, however, is their response. They can adapt, find new opportunities, and face the challenge with resilience. Those who understand this do not waste time wishing the world were different. They use their energy to make the best of what is in front of them. One of the greatest sources of unnecessary suffering is the attachment to outcomes. People set expectations about how life should unfold, how others should behave, and how their efforts should be rewarded. When reality does not match these expectations, they feel frustrated, disappointed, or even betrayed. But the world does not operate according to personal wishes. No amount of wishing, hoping, or demanding will change the course of events that are beyond one's reach. The solution is to let go. Not in the sense of giving up, but in the sense of releasing the need for absolute control. Letting go does not mean passivity. It does not mean resignation or a lack of effort. In fact, it means the opposite. It means focusing completely on what is within one's power. A person who understands this does not waste time on what is futile. They do not dwell on regrets, fearing what they cannot change. Instead, they direct their energy toward what they can do, learning from the past, making the best decisions in the present, and preparing for the future without fearing it. They take action where action is possible, and they release the rest with grace. Consider a person facing a difficult relationship. They may wish the other person would change, act differently, or see things their way. They may spend hours arguing, resenting, or trying to control the situation. But ultimately, they cannot change another person's nature. They can express themselves, set boundaries, and decide how they will engage, but they cannot force transformation. Accepting this allows them to move forward with clarity rather than being stuck in endless frustration. They learn that their peace does not depend on making others behave a certain way, but on how they choose to react. There is deep peace in surrendering what is beyond control. It removes unnecessary stress, clears the mind, and allows focus on what truly matters. A person who masters this principle does not crumble when things do not go as planned. They do not break under pressure or waste energy on what cannot be changed. Instead, they stand firm, anchored in what is within their grasp, and allow the rest to unfold as it will. Life will always be unpredictable. Circumstances will shift, people will change, and challenges will arise. But the only power that truly matters is the power over one's own mind, choices, and actions. To live with strength is to accept this reality, take responsibility for what is within reach, and release the rest. Control what you can, let go of the rest, and in that balance, find true freedom. Strength is not something people are born with. It is something that is forged through adversity. Hardship is the fire that tempers the soul, shaping individuals into something stronger, more resilient, and more capable than they were before. Yet many fear struggle, resist discomfort, and avoid challenges as if they are barriers to happiness. In reality, they are the very forces that create a powerful and unshakable mind. Without hardship, there is no growth. Without struggle, there is no strength. Every great individual, every remarkable thinker, leader, or creator has been tested by adversity. Hardship is not a punishment. It is a teacher. It strips away illusions, exposes weaknesses, and forces self-reflection. When a person faces difficulty, they are given a choice: to be broken by it or to rise above it. Many people see hardship as an obstacle, something to be avoided at all costs. But those who understand its value see it as an opportunity. They know that every challenge is a lesson, every setback is a test, and every moment of suffering carries the potential for transformation. A person who has never faced difficulty remains fragile. They are like a tree with shallow roots, easily uprooted when the storm arrives. But a person who has been tested by life develops deep roots. They learn patience, endurance, and adaptability. They come to understand that pain is temporary, but the strength gained from overcoming it lasts a lifetime. Those who seek comfort and security above all else rob themselves of this growth. They remain soft, unable to withstand the inevitable trials that life brings. Hardship forces individuals to confront their limits and push beyond them. It is easy to feel strong when everything is going well, but true strength is revealed when things fall apart. When a person loses a job, faces rejection, or suffers a personal loss, they are given the rare chance to discover what they are truly capable of. Many people break under such circumstances, allowing despair to consume them. But those who embrace hardship as a necessary part of life develop resilience. They learn that failure is not the end, that pain does not define them, and that struggle is simply the process of becoming stronger. People often admire those who are courageous, disciplined, and unshaken by difficulty, but few are willing to go through what it takes to become that way. Strength is not given freely, it is earned. It is earned through late nights of effort when others are resting, through persistence when others have given up, and through the ability to stand back up every time life knocks them down. Those who expect life to be easy set themselves up for disappointment. The reality is that life is difficult, and it is meant to be. It is through difficulty that character is formed. Pain is a part of existence, but suffering is a choice. There is a difference between experiencing hardship and allowing it to defeat you. Hardship does not define a person. Their response to it does. Those who crumble under difficulty allow circumstances to dictate their strength. But those who accept hardship as an essential part of life develop the mindset that nothing can break them. They stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this?" They stop seeking ways to escape discomfort and start seeking ways to grow from it. The most powerful individuals are not those who have avoided hardship, but those who have embraced it. They understand that failure is not something to fear, but something to welcome. Every failure is a lesson, a stepping stone towards success. Every struggle builds discipline and mental toughness. Those who learn to endure discomfort without complaint, to face challenges without retreating, and to keep moving forward despite fear and uncertainty become unstoppable. Hardship also teaches humility. It reminds people that they are not entitled to an easy life. that nothing is guaranteed, and that everything must be earned. It removes arrogance and replaces it with gratitude. A person who has suffered values even the smallest joys. A person who has been knocked down appreciates the strength it takes to stand back up. Struggle teaches perspective, allowing individuals to see what truly matters. When a person has gone through dark times and emerged stronger, they no longer fear the difficulties ahead. They know that they have faced hardship before and survived, and that they will do so again. Those who embrace hardship as part of life develop a quiet confidence. They do not panic when faced with difficulty because they have been through worse and endured. They do not seek constant comfort because they understand that struggle is necessary for growth. They do not allow fear to control them because they know that pain is temporary, but the strength gained from overcoming it is permanent. No one wishes for hardship, but those who understand its value do not run from it. They welcome challenges as opportunities to grow. They understand that life will always be filled with difficulties, but rather than seeing these difficulties as burdens, they see them as stepping stones toward becoming unbreakable. Strength is not something found in comfort, it is built through hardship. It is not something given, it is something earned. Through every trial, every challenge, and every moment of struggle. Emotions are a natural part of human existence. They color experiences, guide decisions, and add depth to life. Love, joy, anger, fear, sadness, all these emotions serve a purpose. But problems arise when emotions take control, dictating actions and shaping reality in ways that lead to impulsive decisions, regret, and unnecessary suffering. Emotions are meant to be servants, tools that inform and enhance life, not masters that rule over it. The difference between a person who is in control of their life and one who is constantly at the mercy of their circumstances lies in their ability to manage their emotions rather than be controlled by them. Many people live as prisoners to their emotions. When anger rises, they lash out without thinking. When fear appears, they shrink from opportunity. When sadness takes hold, they allow it to consume them. Instead of acting with clarity, they react blindly. They believe that because they feel something strongly, they must obey it. But emotions, while powerful, are often unreliable guides. They shift with changing circumstances, influenced by external events, fatigue, stress, and even the smallest inconveniences. A person who allows emotions to dictate their actions becomes unpredictable, unstable, and easily manipulated by the chaos of life. Mastering emotions does not mean suppressing them. Suppression leads to resentment and inner turmoil, causing emotions to erupt uncontrollably later. Instead, mastery means understanding emotions, acknowledging them, and deciding how to respond rather than reacting impulsively. It is about stepping back and observing, rather than becoming lost in the feeling itself. When anger arises, a person who has mastered their emotions does not explode in rage. Instead, they recognize the emotion, analyze its cause, and respond in a way that aligns with their values rather than their impulses. When fear appears, they do not allow it to paralyze them. They assess the situation logically and act with courage despite the fear. The key to emotional mastery is the realization that feelings are separate from identity. Just because a person feels afraid does not mean they are weak. Just because they feel anger does not mean they must attack. Just because they feel sadness does not mean they are broken. Emotions are like weather patterns passing through the mind, temporary, shifting, and ultimately under the influence of deeper forces. A person who understands this no longer feels the need to act on every emotion they experience. They become observers rather than victims, understanding that emotions are signals, not commands. Imagine someone receiving an insult. The natural emotional response might be anger or defensiveness. If emotions are in control, they will react instantly, arguing, shouting, or seeking revenge. But if they understand that emotions are tools, they can pause and ask, does this require a response? Is this person's opinion worth my peace? Will reacting improve the situation? Most of the time they will realize that the best course of action is to let the insult pass, unaffected. By doing so, they demonstrate true power, the ability to control their own mind rather than be controlled by it. Fear is another emotion that often controls people. It whispers doubts, prevents action, and creates unnecessary suffering. Many avoid pursuing dreams or taking risks because fear convinces them they will fail. But fear is only useful when it serves its true purpose, to protect from real danger. Most of the time, fear is simply an exaggerated reaction to uncertainty. A person who treats fear as a servant rather than a master will acknowledge it, but not obey it blindly. They will recognize that fear exists, but they will act with courage anyway. Sadness and disappointment are also emotions that, if left unchecked, can take control of a person's life. Loss, failure, and hardship bring pain, but suffering is amplified when emotions dominate reason. A person who understands emotional mastery does not allow sadness to consume them. They experience it fully, but they do not dwell in it. They ask, "What can I learn from this? How can I grow from this?" They do not resist or suppress their emotions, but they also do not allow emotions to dictate their actions indefinitely. Training the mind to use emotions rather than be used by them requires practice. It begins with self-awareness, observing emotions without immediately reacting. When a strong emotion appears, instead of acting on it instantly, a person can pause and ask themselves, "What is this emotion trying to tell me? Is my reaction aligned with my values? Will acting on this emotion help or hurt me in the long run?" This small moment of reflection creates a gap between feeling and action, allowing reason to take control. The world is filled with situations that trigger emotional responses: conflict, failure, rejection, and uncertainty. But a person who has trained their mind does not become a puppet to these emotions. They remain steady, unshaken by temporary feelings. They do not allow anger to lead them into regret, fear to prevent growth, or sadness to steal their joy. They use emotions as tools, guiding, informing, and enhancing their lives rather than dictating them. The strongest individuals are not those who never feel emotion, but those who have learned to master it. They do not suppress or deny their emotions, but they do not bow to them either. They recognize that emotions are meant to serve them, not control them. By learning to observe, understand, and respond rather than react, they gain true freedom. The ability to rule their own mind instead of being ruled by it. In a world filled with noise, where everyone is eager to speak, argue, and be heard, few take the time to reflect. Words are often spoken without thought, opinions are formed without deep understanding, and conversations become competitions rather than opportunities for growth. But true wisdom does not come from speaking, it comes from reflection. The ability to pause, think, and understand before responding is a sign of strength, not weakness. Those who master the art of speaking less and reflecting more develop clarity, insight, and emotional control, allowing them to navigate life with wisdom and purpose. Speaking without reflection is easy. It requires no effort to react impulsively, to blurt out whatever comes to mind, or to engage in meaningless discussions. But words have power. Once spoken, they cannot be taken back. They can build or destroy, heal or wound, clarify or confuse. Many conflicts arise not because of deep disagreements, but because of careless words spoken in haste. A person who learns to reflect before speaking avoids unnecessary misunderstandings, regrets, and damage to relationships. They do not waste words on empty talk, gossip, or meaningless arguments. Instead, they choose their words carefully, ensuring that when they do speak, it adds value. Reflection leads to deeper understanding. Many people speak based on emotions rather than reason. When faced with criticism, they react defensively. When angry, they lash out. When excited, they make promises they cannot keep. But those who take time to reflect gain control over their emotions. They learn to ask themselves, is this response necessary? Will it bring clarity or only add to the noise? Am I speaking from a place of wisdom or impulse? These questions create a gap between emotion and action, allowing reason to take control. Silence is often mistaken for weakness, but in reality it is a sign of strength. Those who are comfortable with silence do not feel the need to fill every moment with words. They understand that observation and thought are more valuable than constant speech. By speaking less, they listen more. They absorb information, notice details others overlook, and develop a deeper awareness of their surroundings. In doing so, they gain insight that those who speak constantly will never achieve. A person who listens more than they speak becomes a student of life, learning from every interaction rather than just projecting their own thoughts onto others. Many people fear silence in conversations, rushing to fill every pause with words. But not all silence needs to be broken. Sometimes the most intelligent response is no response at all. Not every argument needs engagement. Not every question needs an immediate answer, and not every situation requires input. Those who practice reflection understand that their energy is best spent on meaningful discussions rather than wasted on pointless debates. They do not feel the need to prove themselves through constant talking. Instead, they let their actions, wisdom, and presence speak for them. Speaking less also cultivates self-discipline. It requires patience to hold back words, to resist the urge to correct, criticize, or dominate a conversation. But in doing so, a person develops control over their impulses. They learn to let go of the need to always be right, to have the last word, or to assert their opinions forcefully. Instead, they choose to observe, think, and speak only when necessary. This discipline extends beyond speech. It influences every aspect of life, from decision-making to personal relationships, allowing for a more measured and thoughtful approach to challenges. Reflection allows a person to see beyond the surface. Many people jump to conclusions, forming judgments without understanding the full picture. But those who reflect before speaking take the time to gather information, consider different perspectives, and understand the deeper meaning behind situations. They do not react based on assumptions, but respond with thoughtfulness. This ability to pause and reflect leads to better decisions, stronger relationships, and a greater sense of inner peace. They are not easily swayed by emotions, rumors, or temporary frustrations. Instead, they remain steady, choosing words and actions that align with wisdom rather than impulse. A person who speaks less and reflects more also gains credibility. Their words carry weight because they are not spoken carelessly. When they do speak, people listen, knowing that their words are thoughtful and meaningful. In contrast, those who speak constantly often lose their impact. When everything is said without thought, nothing is truly heard. True influence does not come from speaking the most, but from speaking with purpose. Life's greatest lessons come not from talking, but from observing, listening, and reflecting. Those who fill every moment with speech miss the opportunity to truly understand. By cultivating silence, a person sharpens their mind, deepens their awareness, and gains control over their emotions. Speaking less and reflecting more is not about isolation or avoidance. It is about choosing depth over noise, clarity over chaos, and wisdom over impulse. It is through reflection that a person gains true understanding, allowing them to move through life with intelligence, purpose, and unwavering strength. By learning to speak less and reflect more, a person gains mastery over their words, their emotions, and ultimately their life. In a world filled with noise, true wisdom lies in the ability to pause, observe, and choose words with intention. Strength is not found in speaking the loudest, but in understanding the most. Those who embrace silence, listen deeply, and reflect before they respond, move through life with clarity and purpose. Their words carry weight, their actions align with wisdom, and their presence commands respect. In the end, it is not the one who speaks the most who is remembered, but the one who speaks with meaning.